G'day everyone. Welcome to Monetize Your Mission. All about how to uncover your greatest gift, make money doing what you love, and make your contribution for yourself, your family, and beyond. And today's guest is the definition of all of that. Today I've got with me Kimberly Alexander, and listen to this chick, okay? She has been in a corporate exec for 20 years. And for those of you who are in corporate and wanting to jump ship, here's what Kimberly did. She is now a growth strategist and transformational speaker for women entrepreneurs. She strategically works with entrepreneurs to identify opportunities and take action for further growth. So if you're in business and you're wanting to accelerate and you just don't know how, she's the go-to girl. She's launched her best-selling series in 2014, The Results Map, Business and Life Strategies to Get What You Want. And last year, in 2015, she launched The Results Map for Women in Business. And she's currently worked with many companies, guided them along, and hundreds of individuals to gain immediate success with her simple and direct fundamentals. Kimberly, welcome to Monetize Your Mission.
I am so thrilled and honored to be here.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. And you know what? I want to just get straight into the Kimberleys story, because there are so many people that come up to me when I do presentations and I do talks and say, I'm in corporate and I want to jump ship, but I don't know how. So how did it start for you?
Well, I was really blessed. I had lots of mentors in the corporate world, loved everything I did. I was one of those people that just adored the corporate world. Never thought in my life I'd be an entrepreneur. But as my roles and my career grew, I ended up in, kind of national VP type roles. And, those roles are coast to coast, living on airplanes 80% of the time. And what I found is that, sometimes I'd be eating meals 3 times a day, moving, whether running, car, train, plane. It was just a chaotic, crazy life. I loved it all. But what I had at home were 2 beautiful little girls and an amazing husband. And so I was really just working like crazy. And one day I came home and my daughters were, again, little at the time. And on our driveway was sidewalk chalk. And they had been doing I'd stopped to admire all the, of course, beautiful works of art that our children do. And what I found in the middle of the driveway were these 3 stick figures. And as I looked up, it was a daddy and 2 little girls, and mommy was left off the driveway. And this may sound very dramatic, but I fell to my knees and cried to the core and thought, there's got to be more to life than this. I love what I do. I love making a difference in people's lives, but this is not what I signed up for. And so I actually put together a series of events to turn some things around. I thought, okay, I could be working much more smarter, diligently, much more intentional. And so I did that. I turned around. I took that out to my field team. That turned around, turned it into all these different programs within the company, but which actually turned out to be the Results Map. Wow. Present day. But what I found was when I really stopped and thought and analyzed what matters most in life and what is the type of work I want to do. And, do I want to build something great, something transformational that could change the world for one company? Or can I put it out in the world and not put it under the confines of one company? And so I went to my boss and I said, I think I have a mission here. I think I have some work to do in the world. And she said, go do it. So put together a 6-month exit strategy. And I always say I went cold turkey. I virtually left the corporate world, went right into building my own brand, and have never looked back.
Wow. Quick, cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Wow. And no secure, you had nothing, you hadn't planned anything ahead of you, it was just quit and I'm going to start a business. That's what it was.
Right. Well, they gave me, this is unheard of, and I know this is, they said, well, let's do a 6-month exit strategy. You can start working on your business as your time, and they let me, which was incredibly gracious, so grateful. But yeah, I mean, I really pretty much jumped out of corporate and right into building my own brand.
Wow. And so the driving force behind that decision was really to serve a greater purpose and mission.
It was 100% that. You know, it's incredible when you find your calling, or you find, you know, your mission, as you just said, that changes lives. That that really, no matter what, your purpose won't let you give up. It keeps you awake at night. It kind of keeps poking at you like you've got bigger things to do in the world. And really, truly, it was a calling to really go outside of my comfort zone, get a lot actually uncomfortable, and really spread the word that, you know, you can live the life you want to live. You can build the business you want to build, but you just monetize that and put it in the right time. You can do anything you're meant to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Kimberly. When you actually went and did that, and I'm interested to know that from the time that you had a 6-month exit strategy and you spoke with your boss and I've got a bigger mission to serve, how did you find what was the vehicle of that change? Did you want to become a speaker straight away? Did you want to just open up a business and start helping people through consulting and coaching? What was the channel of passion? How did it come out?
Well, I thought that this type of business I wanted to do was, you know, one person at a time, you know, helping change lives and transform lives one person at a time. Started doing some workshops and kind of getting my feet wet, and, you know, being in the corporate world for over 20 years, I knew all of these things existed, but was never really truly versed in it. You know, if I wanted a speaker or a coach to come in, you know, you break out your corporate American Express and pay for them, you never see the bill again, you know, and this was a very different world that I was jumping into that I really had to educate myself on. And so what I found is very quickly, about 6 months in, Rita, is that you can't change the world one person at a time. There's a lot of different things that you need to do in order to spread the message. And what a journey, wonderful journey it's been. You know, at the end of the day, it's one of my favorite things to do is to work with people one-on-one, make that connection. But there's other things to do in order to serve outward.
Beautiful.
So, it kind of grew from there. Yes.
Absolutely. And so you went straight into coaching people, and you went straight into helping people in their business or in their personal life?
Right. So the first book that I wrote was, you know, The Results Map, and it's business and life strategies to get what you want. So what I find is that women feel like they are failing at any one thing at any given time. So we're either, you know, rocking it in our businesses, but then failing at home, or the reverse. Yeah. It's some dramatic failure that we're feeling, or feeling guilty like all the time. And so what I found is that we are just unrealistic in what it takes to live the life we want to live and build the business that we want and so desire. So it's basically down to, it's not time management, it's really looking at real time and how to show up and be the person you want to be. So if, for example, you decide I am going to increase my business by 100,000 this year, that's going to take a certain amount of intentionality, a certain amount of hours, certain amount of dedication in order to scale that quickly, that big for the average person. So what that might mean at home, it might mean not being home for dinner every night. It might be going to the office early. It might be a lot of different things that might tap into those core family values and might take away from, you know, the personal side of your life. So when you look at, and this is really what the book teaches and really what changed my life and really what my calling is saying, okay, and owning, okay, so I want this in my business, I want this in my life. What does that look like in regards to real time? And does it all talk to each other? Does it all mirror? And what I found is that, so there's 168 hours in the week. The average woman has about 299 hours on their calendar in a week when there's only 168 hours. So what's happening there is we're touching things, but we're not moving the needle on anything. You know, we're kind of just, you know, when you kind of almost like just push papers around on your desk. That's what we do. We don't really get papers off the desk. We just kind of move them around. So that's what I found for me, and that's what really changed my life, is that for me, it's being home, especially coming from the corporate world, and being home for dinner every night and being fully present in my children and my husband's life. That's number one for me. That's my core value, number one. So do I miss certain cool things at night? Yeah. Could my business be moving forward a little bit quicker? Maybe. But am I living the life that I want to live while building a really great business? Yes. So I am proud to say I have not felt guilty for over 6 years, because I know where I'm supposed to be. I own the time. When I was writing my book, I went to my family and said, it's going to be about 4 months of like a lot of weekends. How do we all feel about that? And they were, like, go for it, mommy. And so I did. So even on the beautiful Saturdays that I was, writing my book, I didn't feel guilty because my family had my back, and I knew it was for a short amount of time, and I was okay with that. So that's really what my learnings really matter in, is that you can do and be anything you want to be, but put it in really set realistic goals and time frames, and you'll get there.
Wow, that's so interesting when you said that. There's 168 hours in a week, and women tend to take up 288, did you say?
299
on
my average.
Goodness.
Is that crazy? No wonder why we're going nuts, right?
Yeah. That explains everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible. And so one question that I was being asked quite a few times is, that leap that you took, Kimberley, what was the first thing? So the first thing that I think that you did from our conversation just now is you wrote a book to launch yourself. And what became step two? Because if someone wants to say, you know what, I'd love to get into coaching, consulting, becoming a speaker like you are.
Yes.
What is step one, step two that you would recommend someone do to get that momentum happening?
Yes. Oh, such a great question. I never thought in my life I'd write a book. It was not even on the radar, not on the bucket list, never in my life. But one of the best things that you can do is to write a book, because it's a major credibility piece. And that's the first thing that you want to look at. Second thing is really understanding what your message is. So what is it that you want to share with the world? That's what your book should be. So that's going to be the major platform of what you're known for, is that book. Now, you can teach and do a lot of other things, but that's going to be your main platform. It puts you about 10 levels higher than any speaker or coach or anything else out there, virtually overnight. So pick again, for me, I had developed the results map in the corporate world for my team. And I found it, and I tracked the KPIs, and I found it successful. And I thought, well, if I could write a book, what would it be about? And I thought, well, I'm going to write about what changed my life. And so that's what I did. So yes, number one, write the book. But with that, pick your message. What is your platform? What will you be known for? The third thing, which is so critical, Rita, I cannot stress enough, if anyone takes anything from this webcast, is to really understand who you serve. So when you decide that you're going to coach, if you're going to speak, if you're going to write a book, you want to ensure that you're talking to the right audience. So that's how your books will sell. It's how people will want to come see you speak. It's how people will want to coach with you immediately after talking to you for 10 minutes, is because you're speaking their language and resonating with the right audience. So number one is definitely deciding your platform and writing your book to that. Number two is definitely making sure you have that right message that goes along with the book. And number three, determining the right audience. From there, and the reason why those first three things are so critical is that a woman versus a man versus a Gen X, Y, Z, millennial, all these people that we have in our life, that will determine what it is that you will do. So if you want to spread your message and coach, well, millennials want online stuff. They want to learn on their own time. Other generations or genders want face-to-face, or they want community, or they want group. So different age groups, different audiences want to learn differently. So if you want to coach from your price points, all those different things, that's how you're going to set up your systems to be successful right away, appealing to your audience.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. Write a book. Make sure you know what your message is and really know who you're serving. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Kimberly, if someone came up to you, and I know you've worked with hundreds of clients throughout your time as an entrepreneur, if someone comes up to you and says, you know, I want to write a book, but how do you coach them over the feeling of, is what I'm saying of any value? How do I find, is it enough? I mean, I'm competing with authors, and you know, that's the limiting mindset. That, do I have something that's of value to offer? At what point is the litmus test that you would say that that's an idea worth publishing?
Right. It's a great question. What I found is that anytime, you know, we don't realize, number one, the value and the experience that we have in our business and our life. It's kind of this journey that we've all been on. Everyone has something of a level of expertise that they are sitting on that they don't realize. So number one, what I ask is, you know, do you feel a calling or a message or anything that you're drawn to? If people say, well, you know, yes and no, a lot of times I'll say, you know, is there anything that you've accomplished? Is there anything that you have overcome a challenge in your life? And how did that resonate with you? It could be, Brendon Bouchard is this phenomenal, you know, multimillionaire. He's an expert at being an expert. And he had, you know, an accident, and he almost died. And he had this awakening that, you know, he was meant for more. And through his journey, he realized that he had this ability to teach people how to be great, how to be experts. And that became his thing. Mm-hmm. So what I ask people to do is to really think back on your life, think back on those defining moments. Think back, for me, sidewalk chalk created the results map. I mean, who knew? Yeah. So think back at those defining moments that virtually transformed your life. And usually there is something big around that.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's exactly how every author has actually published their book. There was something that called to them and they just went out and wrote it.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Beautiful. And all of us have a book in us.
Yes. Sure. Yes, absolutely.
And if you don't feel like you can write, there's ghostwriters that can do it for you.
Yeah. That's it. And that's the amazing thing, because some people even speak their book. They don't even write it. They actually speak it and get a transcriber or a ghostwriter to actually do the whole, you know, the weight of the work for them, and they just give the content as
yes.
So what I'd love to ask you, Kimberly, is how long have you been in business so far?
So I've been in business for about 2.5 years. Well, wow. I've been in business 3.5 years, my own brand for 2.5.
So what do you mean? Was there was a change? Did something happen in that right. 2.5 years?
So that first year that I went cold turkey, I started coaching and doing workshops and those speaking, doing all those types of things. But I really took a year to really explore who I wanted to be. You know, I knew what my message was. I knew who I wanted to serve, but I really wanted to, in a sense, work the kinks out. Yeah. So believe it or not, that first year, and I don't necessarily totally encourage people to do this, but for me, in my own experience, is I was really road testing, is this something I could really be? Coming from the corporate world forever, thinking, can you really make a living being a speaker and a coach and an author and a mentor? And you know, you can. So I was really working through and discovering what that could look like for me. And when I saw, you know, this is real, this is actually happening, my business is growing, and it's time to create that brand, formally create the brand. So it took me about like 9-10 months, and then that's when I formally launched Kimberly Alexander Inc. Beautiful,
beautiful. Okay, so that's been the journey. And because I know you mentioned the defining moment of why you wanted to jump ship is because, you know, you've got 2 beautiful babies that you want to serve and be there for, and your family's priority number 1. In the early days, was, other than writing your book, was that sacrifice? Because someone who's wanting to jump ship is probably thinking, oh my God, in other words, Kimberley, if you knew what you know now, would you have still done it? Would you have still got into business?
Yes. As much as it pains me to say this, I would not have changed a thing. Rita, in the kind of like the last 5-6 years in the corporate world, I broke a lot of relationships, and I made a lot of good decisions and a lot of big mistakes. Not intentionally, but because I was so driven by the job, I hurt a lot of people in my life, and not really realizing that I was. You kind of grow into this person that you are. And, I feel, as much as I know it was a hurtful and hard journey, I wouldn't take it back for the world. And I hope I never forget I hope I never forget the sidewalk chalk feeling, because number one, it's brought me to who I am today. It brought me to serve, and it's helped and empowered me to go out and transform and change lives for the better. And, my daughters are stronger for it. My husband and I are greater for it. And I really believe that it's like I had to walk through that fire to come out a better person. And I would not give that up for the world. I mean, what an absolute gift. So as hard as it was, thinking, gosh, could I wish those tough times away? I really believe sometimes our toughest lessons is the best part of the journey. Because sometimes those hurtful lessons are the ones we really listen to the most.
Yes, absolutely.
I wouldn't change it for a thing.
Okay, that's amazing, because a lot of people, I was speaking to some entrepreneurs the other day, and I asked them the same question. If you knew what you know now, all the startups, the ins and outs, and the highs and the lows of anything, especially in business, would you do it again? And they all said in a heartbeat, yes, because it just so outweighs everything, the pain and everything. It does. There's the light at the end of the tunnel so much more brighter, because you're doing what you've been put on the earth to do. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a journey to get there sometimes.
Yes, exactly. Which is why you've written something called the results map, because it's getting to that result that you want.
Yes.
And I absolutely love it. What moves you? What keeps you in the game, Kimberley? What stops you from just saying, you know what, this is great. I can probably maybe just not even do business, not just stay home. What's your mission that propels you to stay in the game and work as hard as you do, and grow as much as you want, and serve as deeply as you want?
Right. There are those times that you look up going, in fact, just a couple months ago, I told my husband, I said, why the empire? Why all this stuff? Why do I need all these things? And he said, wise man, he said, Kimberley, you don't need these things. You were called to do these things. And he said, it's not about you. It's about everyone else that needs you. And I kind of broke into tears over that one, because it really was true. Sometimes we're tired, and sometimes things don't go the way we're meant to. I mean, this is the world of an entrepreneur. And sometimes, the funds don't come in as fast, but the expenses come in faster. And we've all been there. We've all scaled that Great Wall of China,
Yes.
But what keeps me going is my mission and my purpose. And it's to serve women, entrepreneurs, to not only instill belief that they're meant to be great, but then show them how to do it. I think every woman has this deep down belief that they're meant for more, but they don't know how to clear the clutter and quiet the noise, and how to actually go do it. And so it is, call it corny, but I find it a moral responsibility that won't allow me to give up. And what's so interesting, Rita, is you find a way to push through those tough times. You find a way.
Yeah. Yes. And that's completely, it's so authentic to who you are, Kimberley, because when you are that passionate about what you do, when you know that your work has that much impact, and that you can, it's a different Kimberley coming into the world. It really, because you could be like, well, I'd like to do this because, you know, I think I can help some. But when you know that this can actually change, contribute, expand someone, then it's a different level of intensity, energy, and business that comes through you. Would that not be right?
That's absolutely correct, without question.
Yeah. And so with your speaking, when you go and speak, what kind of topics do you speak on?
Well, one of my favorite signature topics is called All In. And it's actually, the story is in my book when I was at that breaking point. And it was a Sunday morning. It was early in the morning. And I had been just sobbing. It was like that breakdown. We've all been there, right? With just that, at my wit's end. And I met my husband. It was early in the morning. He was walking downstairs, and I had a cup of coffee in one hand and a calculator in the other. And I said, I just don't know if I could, if I could push through this. And so he sat me down and he let me, go through all my stuff. And he looked at me very calmly and said, Kimberly, either you're all in or you need to get out. And just looked and just stared at me. And I thought, let me resonate in this for a minute. And what I had realized, Rita, and this was about a year into this, around when I was really launching my brand formally, I realized that it was if this doesn't work, I can always go back to the corporate world, or I could do this, or I could do that if this doesn't work. And if I could give anyone advice around being an entrepreneur, is that it really is true. And that's why I speak from this so passionately from stage, is that you're either going to do this or you're not. If you have that purpose, if you have that calling, if you want to be an entrepreneur to change your life and be present in different areas of your life, if you want the time with the kiddos or for yourself, whatever that looks like, whatever the reasoning is that we're in this together, is that if you don't fully own it, you won't win. And the minute I went, you know what? No, I'm doing this thing. This is where I'm meant to be. No joke. 2 weeks later, floodgates opened. And it's amazing. I believe that we can put these walls up ourselves. But if we really allow ourselves to show up authentic and really show up courageous, best versions of ourselves, it will happen. But it takes that true ownership of their failure is not an option. I am meant to do this. I'm gonna find a way to do it.
Oh, I love that. I love that when you said you just took out the security blanket. You just, the mental security blanket. Well, if it doesn't work out, and that's what stops, I think, a lot of people is, well, if this doesn't work, I've got that. And because it's what Antonio Robbins calls it, if you have one foot on first base and another foot on second base, well, you're kind of in limbo land.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not giving yourself the amount of attention for one base or the other. You've got to get off one base to get to another base.
Yes.
I love it. When you first started out, or when you're currently, as you're evolving and as you're growing your brand and your work and your service, how did you, and I get a lot of women asking me this question, Kimberly, and I would love to know your take on it. That is the relationship with money. And a lot of people find that, to be working for someone else is a paycheck, certain hours, you get it week in, week out, month in, month out, done deal. But when you step up and you have a purpose and a mission, and when you start charging for what you do, then people kind of get awkward with that. People kind of think it's selling when all their life they've been buying. But suddenly they become an entrepreneur. Oh, but that's selling. Well, you've been buying all your life. You've got a house, you've got food, you've got a fridge. You've been buying. So what would you say? And what was your experience when it came to that part where you had to charge? Did you find an angst? How did you define what to charge, how to charge in terms of the quality of work and the service that you're providing and all that jazz?
I am so happy that you brought this up because it is something that I work with on just about every single client. And especially women entrepreneurs struggle in this area is the money piece. So a lot of people that I work with are, coaches, speakers, authors, or really anything service-based. And so, yes, it's an exchange of monetary value for a service. And first of all, is people really aren't comfortable charging for what they feel that they are worth. number one. But number two, they are very uncomfortable with asking for money. So they want to give themselves away over and over and over again, and they don't just want to ask for the business. Yeah. So one of the ways of advice that I give my clients in front of me is I'll ask them and say, okay, so what do you do? And they'll look at me like I'm crazy. Like, you know what I do. Is like, just tell me what you do. So they do. I say, okay, so what is your value if you went back to and got a job? What would be your value there? Like I'd make 6 figures, I'd make whatever. Okay, great. Tell me, if you were in like the way you serve, if your client or the person in front of you was having a hard time, or if you were having a hard time in the way you serve, would you pay this much money to get the solution and the answer? And they said, well, yeah. I said, right. So just reverse it. So people need to sometimes be asked and told, let me help you. Sometimes you need to just truly ask for the business, and people are grateful for it. People kind of don't know what to take in those next steps. And I tell you, I really struggled with this myself in that first year. I was the paycheck person. I never charged people for stuff. What I did is I took baby steps. If I could give advice, is I started with maybe about a fourth of what I was worth. And I sat there for a while. And as I was giving and giving and giving, I thought, okay, I need to take it up a notch. So in a year and a half, I increased my prices 6 times.
Whoa, go girl.
So I baby stepped and I baby stepped and I baby stepped. So sometimes, we're not going to come out of the gates and we're not going to just charge, $1,000 an hour to work with us. In a sense, you have to earn that right. Yes. You have to earn the right for the big price points. But also, too, you want to eventually know that you're going to baby step your way up to your value and your worth. And so that's what I advise clients to do, is pick a price that you're comfortable with, and then let's continue to massage it and massage it and massage it. But you are doing everyone a disservice in front of you if you don't ask for the business. All they can say is no. No is a great thing. It's an answer. Then you move on to the next person.
Yes. So, I love that. No, I love that because, and like you said, so many people, and I know when I first started, it was like freebies. You have lots of freebies.
Lots of freebies. Because
you're so passionate about what you do. You want, but then there's a point when you think, well, I've got to turn this into a real viable business if I want to be in business. So yes. And I love that. What would you charge would you pay for that and just reverse that? Yes. That's simple.
Yeah.
That's simple. That's really good. So what's next for Kimberley? KimberleyAlexander.com. What's next?
Gosh, I'm doing a couple big things this year I'm super excited about. So what I realized, a couple things, is there's lots of cool things we can do outward. We can, there's 50 different ways to build a business nowadays, right? Thank you, technology. But one of the things is I love is I definitely have, stuff outward, but I love the one-on-one, the face-to-face. And I am not able, like I said earlier, to really do that by myself. So what I took is I am launching the Results Map licensing program this year.
How exciting!
Yeah, so we're in a beta test right now, but we're launching in the third quarter the Results Map licensing coaching program. So really excited and proud about that. And then we have the Results Map Experience, which is a 3-day all-inclusive retreat here in Colorado. And you go up to the mountains and clear the clutter and put together a strategy that really works to live the life you want to live and build the business that you dream of.
Oh, how exciting! Oh my
God! You need to come to Colorado. We would together.
I could put that into my schedule. I'd be on the plane to Colorado. Amazing. And I love retreats because it's just an immersion of the expert where you just get to spend time and mastermind and just get all the crap out without being interrupted. I love that. Love that.
Yes.
And then your licensing. Now,
yes.
And I hear the word licensing because I just think now your work is just going to serve so many more people. And there is the juice. There is
Yeah, we are so excited and proud.
Well,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to actually starting at making the decision to now getting to where you are and getting to launch it?
In the licensing. Honestly, it took about 3 months. It was not long. It was not long. It's, I really took, it's a true plug and play business. I mean, they get a website, they get all these different things. But, it's really taking my content and your favorite word, monetizing it.
Yeah.
And really making it, very clear, very concise, very intentional. It's 7 revenue streams, and it's really all of the same content, just flowed very differently. But the biggest thing was putting together that licensing agreement. It took a while.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine just that.
That was most of the time, actually.
If somebody wants to learn more about that licensing and wants to become a licensee of your programs, where would they need to go, Kimberly? Because I think that's awesome for anyone who's looking to start a business and start with something like that.
Wonderful. Yes, it's KimberleyAlexanderInc.com. And it's KIMBERLY and then AlexanderINC.com.
Fantastic. So I'm going to put that link, guys, in the email that you've received. So down the bottom of your email as you're watching this video, that will be in there, because honestly, I think if you're looking to start a business, I mean, that's business in a box, really.
It is. It's 100%. I mean, virtually you even leave, you come to our offices here in Denver, Colorado, and you have a week of training, and you virtually leave even with business cards. You just have to go get clients.
Yeah.
I mean, truly plug and play.
Even business cards. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now you've been even more generous with us, Kimberly, and you're giving the Missing Keys program, which is a free gift that you're giving to listeners to the Monetize Your Mission. Could you please explain a bit about that?
Yes, and I love this. This is really the good, the juicy details of how to clear the noise and really monetize and elevate and grow that business. So it talks about your purpose, overcoming your fears, how to leverage your past to scale your future. And then we go into strategy. So I talked about really understanding that real time, that 168 hours versus 299 hours. It's how to get your life to 168 real hours. And then what I find with most entrepreneurs is they like the vision, the mission, they like all the planning, but they don't want to pick up the phone and go do it. Again, like figuring out like that you have to actually, get some money for your services. So it's then about how to take action. So how to actually sit and the next steps to take your strategy and drive results. So it's great. It's 3 webinars, it's 2 videos, and 8 downloadable exercises.
Oh, wow. That is so generous, Kimberly. Thank you so, so much. So that's
my pleasure.
The Missing Keys program. That's just incredible. That's so much value. And where can our listeners go and pick that up, please?
Okay, so they'll go to KimberleyAlexanderInc.com, and all you have to do is /let's, LETS, a little dash, and then chat, CHAT.
Beautiful.
So KimberleyAlexanderInc.com /let's-chat.
What we're going to do, guys, is those 2 links that Kimberly's mentioned, they'll be in the email. I'll make sure to put those in. So all you've got to do is click on it and you'll be taken to that free gift, which I think is just so generous. So thank you sincerely.
Oh, my pleasure.
That's been beautiful. And before I let you go, and it's just been so beautiful speaking to you, Kimberly.
Oh, you too.
What advice would you give to your younger self? If you could go back in time, is there anything that you would say differently to yourself that would have made things different, better, in any way? What advice would you have given your younger self?
Oh, Rita, if we could only do that.
Yes,
right? The one thing I would say is to don't forget to relish in life and celebrate even the smallest of wins. This might sound very poetic, but watch the sunsets and give extra hugs and laugh a lot. And we have lots of great things to accomplish in this world. We work hard. We want to leave legacies, and there's all these big things that we want to do. But sometimes really stop and cherish life. And even the smallest of things, that means so much. And I think we don't look up enough in our crazy, busy life to really cherish the things that matter.
Oh, I love that. I love, 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 love that. Kimberly, it's just been an absolute super, super time speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining
my pleasure.
On Monetize Your Mission. And guys, the links that Kimberly has generously given us, and if you're looking to become a licensee and just find out what that's all about, then those links are there. And I really encourage you to go check it out, guys, because when you guys ask about what's the blueprint of starting a business and how to accelerate, here's the deal. Here's the models in which Kimberly has used in her own business. And she's, number one, given us access to get to those by looking at the Missing Keys program. And if you want to look at starting your own business and just wanting to find what that would look like, then definitely go and check out her licensee of how she actually licensed her programs and gets people involved and launching and helping clients even further. Kimberly, thank you so much. And guys, we'll see you very soon on our next episode of Monetize Your Mission. See you soon.